What's up guys, kevincage here with another crypto update. Today is our monthly iTrustCapital video, so we're going to be diving into a bunch and I want to make this video as informative as possible. We're going to go over the spot Bitcoin ETF predictions and what this means for the entire crypto asset class, the ETH spot ETFs which were approved in future alt ETFs. We also have some bold predictions from Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, related to alt ETFs. And we're also going to dive into iTrustCapital because their CEO, Kevin Maloney at XRP Las Vegas, recently announced that there will be 20 to 30 more options being added to iTrustCapital over the next 90 to 120 days. So I find that interesting, and I know there are 30 plus different assets available on iTrustCapital today, and I would love to see more altcoins. I know we shared the clips of the CEO discussing 50 to 100 assets in the future. But we also remember from a while back, they were discussing the introduction or introducing additional alternative assets, and they named a few, such as fractional real estate, private equity, and then interest-earning cash sweeps on FBO client US dollar positions, so ways to earn interest. So they said 20 to 30 more options over the next 3 to 4 months, so it wouldn't surprise me to see some of these or all of these. Or maybe they'll just surprise us with a bunch of new options with new features. But anyways, let's kick off today's video. We're going to dive into Bitcoin first. So looking at the Bitcoin monthly price chart, we've gone over this in detail in past videos, so we'll be brief, but basically just emphasizing the multiple cycles that we've seen, major moves for Bitcoin driving to all-time highs. Most people refer to this as the 4-year cycles, referring to the Bitcoin halvings, historically the same year as the elections, and we have elections coming up. So whether the cycle length is 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years, you tell me, but we can see these cycles do repeat. In the monthly RSI or momentum here, we can see multiple cups. So we have 1 cup, 2 cup, 3 cup, and we're potentially on our 4th. And every single time we've seen the Bitcoin monthly RSI or momentum run to higher levels, it has reached 90, even 91 last cycle. These past cycles were even well above 90, and we haven't reached that level yet. So for me, not financial advice of course, I believe the crypto asset class experiences another cycle. I believe in the tokenization estimates of $10 trillion by Ripple, Medico, and BCG. And I just go back to thinking that Bitcoin was under $20,000. We survived 2022, without a doubt one of the hardest years in crypto. Multiple black swans, never-ending bad pieces of news, and then shortly after, January this year, we got the approval of the Bitcoin spot ETF. It got approved, it crashed a bit, and later reached an all-time high price. In Q1 of this year, we saw net inflows of just over 12 billion. So in Q1 of this year, Bitcoin saw net inflows of just over $12 billion, and that number is a lot, don't get me wrong, but it is growing exceptionally faster than what the gold spot ETF did. Along with these predictions right here, spot Bitcoin ETFs could see $220 billion of inflows over the next 3 years from JMP Securities. So of course, take this with a grain of salt. This is shared by CoinDesk, but there are just huge predictions for the future of Bitcoin spot ETFs. So even if it's not 200 billion, if it's 50 billion or 100 billion, that's significantly more than what we've had today. We can also see that Wall Street giant JP Morgan estimated $62 billion of Bitcoin ETF inflows in the next 2 to 3 years. So 62 billion is still 5 times bigger than what we've had in all of Q1. So we know the crypto asset class is super volatile, but for me it's important to remember that spot ETFs aren't the snap of a finger. You have to get that liquidity, you have to build that client base, and that takes time. So if either of these predictions, 62 billion in net inflows or 220 billion in net inflows, are even relatively close, Bitcoin's going to go up a lot more. So even JP Morgan's estimate of 62 billion is still over 5 times greater than what we've had in all of Q1. And the Moonboy prediction of 220 billion is still roughly 18 times larger. And it's crazy to think about this. The first gold, the ETF, took over 2 years to reach $10 billion. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust crossed the AUM threshold of 10 billion in a mere 7 weeks. So gold took 2 years and Bitcoin did this in 7 weeks. So basically the point I want to make is we've seen billions of dollars of net inflows enter Bitcoin via the spot Bitcoin ETF thus far, and even though it's slowed down, on the big picture it may not be done yet. And if billions more enter Bitcoin, what happens to the Ethereum spot ETFs, because 8 were approved by organizations including Fidelity and BlackRock. And Ethereum is 3 times smaller than Bitcoin, so billions of dollars would massively affect Ethereum, and Ethereum goes up, this typically brings the altcoin market up. And now with the approval of the spot ETF for Ethereum, this opens the door wide open for other assets, Solana, XRP, Cardano, Polkadot, AVAX, etc. Next up, I'm going to play a 30-second clip shared by Good Morning Crypto of Brad Garlinghouse discussing alt ETFs. Apologies if the audio quality is a little hard to hear.
It's just inevitable there's going to be more ETFs. Right? It's almost like saying, you know, when you first had the introduction of the stock exchange in the 1930s, 1920s, If you only trade one stock, does that make sense? No, that doesn't make sense. Like, look, there's got to be multiple ETFs. We now have the approved ETH ETF. I think it's just a matter of time. It's inevitable. There's got to be an XRP ETF. There's got to be a Solana ETF. There's got to be a Cardano ETF.
So hopefully you could hear that well enough and you can hear the conviction in his voice, and keep in mind that he is sticking to his prediction of the crypto asset class reaching a $5 trillion market cap in 2024. So the approval of any spot ETFs for alts would be amazing, but the most important thing is to see Bitcoin draw its first major moves and all-time highs. Any crashes are going to bring the market down longer. And I know that every cycle may have its differences and it might be stupid to expect the same thing every single time, but historically, seeing Bitcoin draw its first major moves and all-time high is the most important. Some alts might not take off immediately, but as Bitcoin goes higher, even if that means Bitcoin dominance climbs higher first, the better for alts later when that volume finally rotates. And that's at least something we've witnessed over the past few cycles, even if this cycle has a bit of difference in time length or Bitcoin dominance. And it's all until we see that first major move from Bitcoin consolidates longer or crashes longer, it's going to be boring. But with Brad's prediction of a 5 trillion crypto market cap, that would basically be double with where we're at today. So keep in mind, what would Bitcoin's market cap be at that time to take the crypto asset class to 5 trillion? We could speculate at what Bitcoin dominance would be. Today it's about 52%, so just over half the market. And basically every $50,000 added to Bitcoin's price is another 1 trillion in market cap. So 100k Bitcoin would be about 2 trillion, 150k would be a $3 trillion market cap, etc. So with my Roth IRA with iTrustCapital specifically, that is a long-term investment. I'm not looking on the 4-hour, I'm rarely looking on the daily chart, I'm primarily looking on the weekly and monthly time frame. So looking at the total market cap, we are still holding above the 21-week EMA. This exponential moving average is very important to hold above to keep that trend going up. And looking at Bitcoin dominance, where we witnessed the past two alt seasons where Bitcoin dominance saw a massive crash and alts went parabolic, we haven't seen this moment happen just yet. So I just wanted to share a few of my looks comparing the past cycles and things that I'm looking at. Remember, none of this is financial advice. If you think that crypto is a complete joke, that's completely fine. I want the market to move too. Next up, we're going to dive into iTrustCapital. I have this linked in the top of the YouTube video description. I've had a Roth IRA with them since January of 2020, so just over 4 years. So I've had a great experience with iTrustCapital with a Roth IRA, so all gains are 100% tax-free. I'm really just waiting on the next bull run. I'm going to play a 2-minute clip of a recent interview of the iTrustCapital CEO Kevin Maloney, and this is on Digital Perspectives YouTube channel.
Now we have 200,000 people that have signed up. I would say about 51,000 are very active. We've done close to 10 billion in transactions, and we custody about $3.5 billion in assets. So we're starting to become, we're maturing a little bit in this space, and we're only 5 years old. And there's 13 trillion in IRA assets out there to be managed in the US. People say we're the biggest, we have 3 billion. And so we're just really small, but we're thankful that we have a chance to be here. And I think the sky's the limit on what we can do together as an industry. But the perfect customer, in all seriousness, is really that forward-looking individual. These are working professionals across America, 35 to 60. They're not betting the farm. They're mature investors. They've been through multiple cycles. And they're curious enough to want to participate in the blockchain economy because they appreciate the opportunity to possibly get in at the ground floor of some projects. We're not a broker-dealer. We're not a registered investment advisor. We don't make recommendations. We don't have a sales team. We don't pay commissions to anybody. But it is exciting to work with these clients every day that are rolling over their retirement, that are shifting assets. Again, not betting the farm, but they're probably allocating anywhere from 5 to 20% of their portfolio to crypto. iTrustCapital is not the only option. There's a couple of decent other players out there. We think we're winning because we're not overcharging. We're really transparent about our strengths and weaknesses. You all tell us what our weaknesses are. And we appreciate that. We're also winning because we pick up the phone with a smile and we'll answer your email in almost real time. We just hired another 30 client servicing agents. So if you have talented people that are curious and want to participate, we're always hiring. And I think that's why we're winning. So iTrustCapital.com. Love to work with anybody out there. We're going to be adding 20 to 30 more options over the next 90 to 120 days. We're launching some new products and services second half of this year. and just excited to be here, humbled by all of the support we've had in the industry.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm excited to see these new products and services, and it's crazy to think that 13 trillion in IRA assets are out there in the US today. And even imagining 2 to 3 trillion of the total 13 trillion in IRA assets out there coming to the crypto asset class, that's really exciting. Especially as tokenization infrastructure improves, hopefully regulation sooner than later, and overall, millennials and other generations, we don't care about bonds anymore. With these new products, new assets, ways to earn interest, staking, the future is going to leverage this type of technology. So just thinking of the entire crypto asset class at 2 to 2.5 trillion versus 13 trillion in retirement accounts in the US for IRAs. And I do like what he said about their client base being mature investors, experiencing multiple cycles, understanding risk management, not betting the farm, and maybe investing or allocating 5 to 20% of their portfolio into crypto. Again, that's not telling people what to do or what's best, that's just what they're seeing in their client base. So overall, iTrustCapital is still a strong company. We can see they hired another 30 employees and we know they were valued around $1.3 billion a few years ago. So I definitely like to see them expand their product offering. We know they do offer IRAs, traditional and Roth, 401ks, TSPs, etc. And the biggest thing I like about them is per their terms of service, if they ever went out of business, iTrustCapital users get 100% of our funds back. So that's by law. So that's a huge benefit of leveraging a qualified custodian. That makes me feel a lot better considering other companies in this space over the past few years. And if you watch that full interview, the CEO of iTrustCapital used to work in compliance. He also met with Hester over at the SEC. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We know there are a variety of assets on iTrustCapital. Curious to see if any of these get an altcoin spot ETF in the future. I have iTrustCapital linked in the top of this YouTube video description and right in the pinned comment if you're interested. If you do create an account and fund an account, you get a $100 funding reward. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.